Welcome to Piano Video Lessons Year 1 Unit 6. Today's lesson is lesson number 11 and we're going to be learning to play the Moonlight Sonata. Click the info card to come on over to Piano Video Lessons where you can find the links to the ebook as well as to all of the other free video lessons that I have available. Lesson number 10, we learned to play in E minor, and lesson number 9, we learned about ties. So that got us all set to learn to play this version of Moonlight Sonata. Today's free video is sponsored by my patrons at Patreon. Click the info card to find out more or to become a sponsor. Let's get started. All right, so here's the first part of a 2 or possibly 3-part lesson on Moonlight Sonata. We'll see how the time goes. But basically this piece is a piece based around chords in the key of E minor, and it uses lots of ties. So we've prepared for this by playing all the technical drills in E minor, and we've learned about ties. I'm going to teach you a new symbol today, and that's the 15 MA symbol, and it's similar to the 8 VA symbol. It doesn't mean anything different, it's just further to go. So we'll get started on that. And there's a variety of ways you can practice this. I've given you a little practice outline here, along with lesson number 11. And the first thing it suggests to do is to find the notes that use ledger lines and name them, and then determine the notes for the key of E minor, then look for the ties, and then work in sections. So we can divide the sections up in whatever way works for us. I'll give you one approach today, and then we can go ahead and just drill any difficult spots and piece the whole piece together over time. So this is a beautiful piece by Beethoven. It's originally written in C sharp minor, so this is a different arrangement with fewer sharps to read. If you look at the key signature here, you could see that C sharp minor actually uses 4 sharps. So this will make it a little easier on our brain that we only have to remember 1 sharp. So with all that in mind, let's have a look then and see, as it recommends in our practice outline, we're going to locate the notes that use ledger lines. So just going through here, we see at the beginning, we have 1 line below the bass staff. So which note is that? Hopefully you remember it's E. If you don't know your ledger line notes, you should go back to, I think it's lesson 6, but I'll link it here in the info card. You can go on back. Then we have the note below E, which has the ledger line and the note below it. So this one is D, yes. And then we have 2 lines below, which is low C. Then we have 3 lines below, which is A. Then we come up 1 from A. So here we have 2 lines plus a note. This is going to be B and another B. So all of this is happening down low. Here's middle C on the piano, and here are the notes below the ledger, below the staff in ledger lines. So then the piece moves into on the staff location for all of this in the left hand, and we only just have the 1 note here, E, at the very end. We're in E minor, so it makes sense that it ends on an E. So we've located now all of the ledger notes in this piece, and we've named them. And then we can also look for the ties. So if you look at the beginning of the piece here, this first E holds for 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So altogether 4 3s, which is 12. Then we have this D, and it's going to hold also for 12. Then we're going to have C and hold for 6. So we have 3 plus 3. Then we have A, and it holds for 3 plus 3. B holds for 3 plus 3, and another B. And so we see these ties happening right off the bat for the left hand. And then the right hand picks up here on the 3rd line, and we start off with 3rd finger on B, and we're going to hold for 2.5 beats. 1, 2, 3, and all right, so this B is going to hold for 1, 2, T, D. So we don't play the first T because it's tied in with that longer B. 1, 2, 3, and all right, and then we're holding this one for 9. 3 plus 3 plus 3. And then we have the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, and now this time we hold for 6. And then we have C for 6, B for 6, and then no ties here, just holding for 3. And then we have 3 beat, 3 beat, 3 beat, so altogether 9. And so this little rhythm, 1, 2, 3, it's the standard little thematic rhythm that you're going to hear frequently in this piece. Looking ahead, there's lots of long ties here in the right hand, either tying 2 notes together or tying 3 notes together. So just look out that you don't replay the note. Sometimes what people like to do to remind themselves is they'll just cross the little note out that they're not going to replay because they're still holding it. But you don't need to do that. It's just a good way to mark it in your music if you're forgetting to hold the ties. All right, so we found all of the ledger notes, we found all of the ties, and then we can start to look for the F sharps because we're in the key of E minor. And if you haven't gone through lesson number 11, not lesson number 10, which helps us discover the key of E minor and E harmonic minor, this is a good time to refresh on lesson number 10. So the key signature here at the beginning tells us that we're going to be playing Fs as F sharps because E minor uses 1 sharp and it is F sharp. So we can look through the piece to find all of the Fs. So the hardest F to find is probably going to be in the bass clef, and it would be just below the bass staff here. So let's look at all these ledger notes and see if we can find any Fs, and there are none. So that would be F could live right here below the staff. And the F can also live in the on the 4th line of the bass staff, which is right here. And we can just have a look through. There's nothing up this high. Now on the next line, that's A, no Fs here. And looking through here, still, oh, finally, this is the first F that will be played as a sharp. So let's just circle that because we might get complacent after playing a full page with no F sharps in the left. We might forget to make this one a sharp. So I'm just going to mark it in as a little, I put the sharp sign down here. And we're just going to find that position. And that's what we're going to end up with there. Okay, next line, there's no F here or here or here. We do have some ledger notes, but we don't get all the way up to F. Here's another F sharp. And this is a slightly different chord than we just played. So the bottom note is now F sharp. We might just make a little star here just to remind ourselves that something's up. I don't really like marking exactly what the issue is. I would rather you just go, oh, remember, something's going to happen here, so that you're training yourself to think of the exact message that this notation is giving you. All right, so we're back here. Space note, here's another F sharp. This is D sharp. And then we have this little symbol here, this natural symbol that tells us that the F is no longer sharp for this measure, but every bar line cancels out any accidental. So unless the note is tied, in which case we still do the same natural, but the bar line's going to cancel it. So we've had to write it in again here. So it's F natural again, and then here it doesn't have a natural, so it's F sharp again. So right in here, we're going to come back in on the sharp. And then we have more notes and spaces. There's no second line from the top here. And so there's no Fs, and there's no Fs. Okay, we found them all. Now we can just quickly scan the right hand. So we're going to find F potentially here in the bottom space and also on the top line. So these notes are low, so let's look in the space, no Fs. Look in this space. There's F here, but it's been marked as natural, so we're going to play them as white keys. So here's an F right here. This is the first one that we're going to have to play, so we're just going to remind ourselves that that's going to be F sharp. So here we would have B, D sharp, F sharp. And then another same measure. All right, now we're moving up a bit higher, and in this position here, I can't even touch an F, so I'm going to guess that there aren't any, and I'd be right. Now we have to move our thumb, so we're now up here on D. So now I see, based on this hand position, that there is an F I could reach. It will be this top line F. So as we look through some more, we'll see here's one here, so I'm going to a little star here, just to remind us something's going on. Here's a natural, and it ties. And then we have D sharp, and then E, and then we're back. Something fun happens here. Okay, I'll tell you about this now, since you're probably wondering. We've got to the spot here where it says 15 MA. So AVA tells you to go an octave higher or lower, depending. It's like a magnet. If it's written above the notes, it pulls you up. If it's written below the notes, it pulls you down. So 15 MA is, I think the VA octave has a V, but I think this 15 must have an M in it. I'm not exactly sure the reasoning, but there's always an M. It's never 15 VA. Don't ask me why. I have to research that. Maybe you know the answer. But all it's telling us is to go 2 octaves. So instead of 8 notes higher, we're going to go 7 more notes higher than that. So we're going to go 15 notes in the direction of the symbol. So here, it's been written below the treble clef notes. So it's going to take the right hand down 2 octaves. So it looks like I'm playing this B. And you could practice it by playing it up here. It's just a bunch of B's. But when you perform it, you're going to play it 2 octaves lower. So instead of playing it on this B, you're going to jump down 2 B's and play it down here. What this is going to actually do is going to cause your left hand to cross, to be left underneath here, and the right hand is crossed over the left. So that's going to be kind of fun. It's okay to practice it up here, get used to the piece, and then play it down here once you know what you're doing. Because sometimes it's just weird to have your hands crossed. Your brain isn't sure which hand it's controlling. It gets confused. So until you get used to that idea, you can practice it out this way and then bring it down to give it a try once you're coordinated on it. Okay, so we're looking for Fs, and there aren't any here. These are all Bs. And then we just have this E minor triad, line, 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 line. So we found all the F sharps. Okay, so we are prepared now to play the piece, and by breaking it into sections. And I've already broken the piece into sections. We have the D section, the C section, the B section, and the A section. So we're going to chunk it up and practice just in those sections. So let's go ahead and practice the A section. And if you look at the listing here, it says work out the right hand fingerings on a tabletop. Use intervals to guide your choices. And for measures with eighth notes, maybe clap and count the rhythm, and then tap and count with both hands. And then you can play the music slowly while counting. So with this one, I feel as though it's not necessary to practice really hands separately at great length. You probably want to put it together fairly quickly. It's a slow piece. So we can attempt hands together early on in the practice. If it's not comfortable, definitely practice your harder hand more. So here we go. Let's look at the A section. So the A section is going to take us down to here, and the right hand begins with playing on the beat. So we're going to have 1, 3, 5 right here. So this is an E minor triad, E, G, B, but with the B on the bottom. So the fingering pattern is 1, 3, 5. So let's see how many times this happens. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different measures that we play exactly those 3 notes. Then we're going to change here and play C, E, G. And you know what that is. That's a C major chord. And we do it for 2 measures. And then we're going to open up here and have CFA. That's an F major chord. And then we're going to come down here to E minor again. And then we're going to have B major for 2 measures. And then just the note E. So you can practice this holding, oops, I'm sorry, I missed. You can practice this holding the notes and then only playing when they change, and then to E minor, and then to B major, and then here. So that just gets you used to the placements. So E minor, C major, F major, E minor, B major, and then E. And then the left hand, we can see that it's got a long note E. And then 1 note down for 12 beats. Then a C. And then we're going to skip from line to line to A. Then we're going to have 4 on D and another D. And then we're going to hop up all the way to this E. And we're going to play the E minor triad for 4 different measures. And that takes us to the end of the A section. So let's just look at the very first part of this, hands together. So there's that E minor triad with the B taken off the top, E, G, B, and placed on the bottom. And the left hand's going to be down here on low E. So we're going to do this for 4 measures. And then for 4 measures, we're going to do this. That takes us to the end of line 1. So just try that with me. We're going to have E in the left, an E minor triad holding in the right. Now we're going to play D in the left, and we're going to hold another E minor triad in the right. So I'm just grouping those notes together just to get my fingers used to where they're playing. Now let's take it beat by beat. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. This is the second measure. This is the third measure and the fourth. Now the right doesn't change, but the left is going to play D. And now you might notice that my right hand is gentle and my left hand is fairly firm. Now I'm going to play the third finger on C while I move into a C triad here. So I play that all together just to get used to the feeling. Now let's go ahead and break it down. I'm on line 2. And that happens twice. Now I'm going to play my 5. Down here I'm going to play a low A, and I'm going to open this up to an F major triad. Doesn't play solid though, I'm just finding the feeling here. Now I'll play it twice. And then I can go back to E minor with the left hand playing B. So just get all of that ready. I'll show you where I am. I'm just right here. I'm playing B, and this is the same chord I was playing at the beginning of the piece. So that's this, and I'll break it down. And now I'm going to play the same note on my left hand, but I'm going to change to a B major chord on the right hand, 1, 3, and 5, B, D sharp, and F sharp, 2 times. And then I'm going to play my 4 on E right here, and I'm going to move up to the E triad on the left. So there's a big jump there. Now we can use that countdown method to practice the left hand that I introduced you to in a former video. And maybe I'll do a short video on countdown just to include here in case you haven't seen that one. I'll link it up here in the corner if and when there is a video to teach you this countdown method. So here we have it. We have just going to play from right here, my 4 on D, 4 on B, and do 2 bars of this, and then I'm going to hop myself right up to here. All right, so let's try the whole A section then from the top. So basically I'm going to play it out this time instead of just playing the solid chords. I mean, you could just play the solid chords. I am going to do it. I was almost done, and then a hop. All right, so basically what I did there was I played all of these notes solidly together, and then there was a change. So I played all of these ones solidly together. Then I had this with a C in the left. Then I have down to the A with an F chord in the right. Then I went up 1 to the B, the E minor in the right, and then the right hand's going to change here. So I played that solid, and then I finished with a solid group on those. So that's a really good practice strategy for a piece that uses a lot of chords and forces you to think about chord changes. So let's go ahead and play it, all of the A section. And then we're ready for the B section. And I'll end this video here, and you can skip to the next video when you're ready to learn the B section. But do please go back and practice just this A section, getting used to playing in the key of E minor and counting the beats, and also practicing those solid chord patterns all the way through so that you can get really used to the feeling of those chord changes. That'll really help you understand what's happening in this piece. All right, so I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you did, I would love it if you would consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon, and click the link in the info card for more information.